Welcome everybody to the Better Call Saul podcast. I guarantee you no one else has done this before. We also didn't pick a name for this. So next episode there should be a name, but there should be like a name on the screen right now, but it wasn't thought of until after the recording. With me, I am joined by...
It's showtime. It's me, Chris.
Yes. So anyone who is familiar with me because of the Howard video, thank you, by the way. I've already seen the show very clearly. Or maybe you're just stumbling across this. But Chris is going into this one blind, but you have seen Breaking Bad, is that correct, Chris?
Yeah. You ask me like every time.
just for the listeners at home. I love this show. Honest to God, when it comes to the two, I have a hard time picking a favorite, and it's kind of come to a point where I think, like, I kind of just put them neck to neck. I think that Breaking Bad has, like, a better pace. Like, sometimes Better Call Saul is a show that awards you for your patience. I feel like Breaking Bad was a lot more fast-paced. Not that it didn't have slow-paced moments, because it certainly did. But I just think the payoffs in Better Call Saul are, like, so much better. I feel like the crew got so much better within that time. But I also just feel like both shows complement one another. So I guess I'm okay with just kind of seeing them as the same show.
Can I talk about the pace here a little bit?
Yeah.
From what I've seen of Better Call Saul, I think the thing I like about it is the pace fits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like it's a terrible pacing issue. I just think that it has, like... And this is only watching 2 episodes, mind you, so my mind might change, but I like the slower moments that they have. It feels nice and real.
Me too. I actually think the first 2 episodes have great pacing, if that means anything. I think that there's episodes in the show, and we'll get to them, where no matter how many times I rewatch them, I'm like, oh, it's in service of something, it's in service of something, but let's speed through this. I wonder if I'll feel that way this watch, because I feel like my opinion of Better Call Saul, anytime I rewatch it, it doesn't go down, it always goes up. Yeah, because I remember like the first time I was watching Better Call Saul when the first season ended, I was like, I really like this show, it's no Breaking Bad, but how could it be? And by the end of Better Call Saul, I was like, okay, it's as good as Breaking Bad. It's without a doubt as good. And now it's like, man, do I like Better Call Saul more? It's hard. Like I said, I almost feel like sometimes it's pointless to put the 2 shows up against each other, because not only is it the same showrunners, but it's also like a lot of the same crew. Like a lot of writers came back, a lot of the, makeup artists and like cinematographers. Like it's like they kind of took 1 year off in between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and just kind of got back together. They just didn't let fucking Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul back on the set. Like fuck those two. What did they really contribute to Breaking Bad other than Walter and Jesse?
Really?
No.
Really? I'm being an ass now.
Bryan Cranston actually directed some episodes of Better Call Saul.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's, I really love the show. It'll be fun going through it with Chris. We're gonna do 2 episodes at a time, for like each episode. So this one we're doing Uno and Mijo. And, we'll talk about Uno first. I don't want to do like a huge reaction segment in this just because, well, it's not really a reaction video. It's more of a discussion, but I did take some notes down. I did record us watching. I did take some notes of like good bits. So here's some reactions from episode 1. Did you even know, like, he was in it?
No.
Really?
That's why, well, no, that's because I don't know anything about the show. I just, I don't know, the voice was very clear. I just thought, like, you know what I'm talking about. That's a very distinct voice.
Oh, yeah.
Slippin Jimmy.
Oh, my God.
There you go. How many times have you heard the name Slippin Jimmy before watching the show?
Too many. Yeah, I kind of figured. Oh.
Did you figure it was going to be him, though?
No, I did not.
Crazy old biznatch ran over my brother.
and you know everything you need to know now.
Damn, the lighting's nice for this.
This makes you feel real important, huh? Not enough stickers?
Is this what you do before every Spiny episode?
Yes.
Like a troll under a bridge.
All right, and now that that's over, yeah, they'll be brief. I'm not going to make these long. Let's discuss it. I mean, I don't know if you kind of want to like just talk about both at once.
Yeah, let's do that.
Or if you want to just try to start with the first one. But a lot of Better Call Saul kind of blends together. There's definitely episodes that stand out on their own, but in a lot of ways, episodes 1 and 2 feel like two pieces of the same story, right?
I think the thing is that it is though, because it's a straight. And I mean, I guess the show itself might just be that, right? Like it might just be a whole continuation and whatever. But you know, it's nice though. It's got me.
I'm glad, yeah. It was fun watching with you, especially because like it's really fun watching with someone who doesn't like know everything going in. Like I did not know that you didn't know Mike was in this.
No, I didn't. Well, that's the problem, is I didn't know anyone was like, at least in these first episodes. You know, I did not expect anybody to come back. I thought it would be like a wait until like season 2 kind of thing. So.
Yeah, Tuco was definitely. I knew that Mike, like, because like I knew about the show before I watched it. Like I saw like the promos. I knew Mike was going to be in it, but Tuco was a surprise. Tuco was a big surprise, and it kind of felt like they wanted to get a little bit of that out of the way. Like say, okay, here is some Breaking Bad stuff for y'all, but now it's like, okay, now please focus on these new characters we made, and they did a great job with that. Because I think you're going to grow to love these characters. As the Howard Hamlin simp myself, I got to say, like first episode, I give it an 8 out of 10 on the Howard scale.
I don't,
because it's like Howard he only has one scene, but it's a great scene. It's a memorable scene. It's a great introduction to his character. Episode 2 is getting a 0 on the Howard scale because Howard isn't even like in it. I don't even know if he's mentioned in it.
Isn't he?
Not that I can remember.
Wasn't it? Well, he's not mentioned. No, you're right. He's not. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe Chuck said his name. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I do not think so. I think the thing is, as a person that liked Breaking Bad, but was not the biggest fan, this is really cool to come and see this. I think the thing that's really cool is how this actually started too, in the Cinnabon. You know?
Yes.
I think that was a very strong start.
It's also a good way to hold. Again, I think it's doing a good job of not only is it good for this story to see that, but it's also it was smart on the people who wrote the show's part, because it's I guess people kind of wanted to know how connected to Breaking Bad this was going to be, because there was even some people who were under the impression that this was going to be every week it's a new client. It wasn't really going to be this Breaking Bad, where the open scene very much establishes, no, we're continuing we're adding on to a story here.
Yeah, and I kind of like that. I think the thing that I really do like the most, though, is that I'm not the biggest fan, like I said, of Breaking Bad, but I do appreciate and like that. I feel like you could watch this without knowing. I mean, is it cool that I'm not talking about the plot straight on?
Yeah, I think we can just kind of shoot the shit about. I think that we don't really need to have a structure here. We can just kind of shoot the shit about Better Call Saul. I
think the thing is, knowing who Tuco is makes the whole thing worse, right? Yes. I know that he's younger, but I think that's the greatest thing about the show, is that with these, at least him, if there's a benefit of knowing how bad, I can't say how bad it can get because it's not the same time, but there's a tenseness to everything when it comes to that. Because I feel like if you didn't watch the show, it's oh, he's just a crazy dude. But if you watch Breaking Bad, it's damn, this could have gone down worse. You know?
Oh, right. I think a big thing that you're going to notice while watching the show is, without certain aspects of Breaking Bad, some of the show would be a mystery. There would be parts that are a little, you wouldn't understand them right away. But I think the real benefit that Better Call Saul has as not only a sequel but a standalone show is that, even if you are someone who watch Breaking Bad, the show is still surrounded in mystery, because you have all these other characters like Chuck, Howard, Kim, Nacho, all introduced. The show does a really good job of getting all those characters out in the first 2 episodes. That's basically, Mike too. That's basically your main cast. There are new big characters that come in later on the show that become part of the main cast, but I think that pretty much covers everyone as in terms of the main characters. There's some secondary characters that get a lot of screen time, but those are the main characters of at least the first 2 seasons. But it's kind of okay, now there's a mystery of why aren't they in Breaking Bad? Is it just because they weren't relevant enough for that story, or is it because something happened? So there's so no matter what, there's so much mystery, and I think that actually makes it kind of okay if you didn't watch Breaking Bad. thing I'd say, I think the cutoff point of where you really should watch Breaking Bad before, like, if you made it to this certain point, like, where you should stop yourself in Better Call Saul if you haven't seen Breaking Bad, the last 4 episodes of Better Call Saul, literally the last 4, I think would be very hard to follow without Breaking Bad.
I think,
But I think everything else would be fair game. Go ahead.
I think the one thing that I want to say is that if you're somebody like me that only knows of the show through memes, I feel like it's better to just check the show out. Like, you cannot... I feel like the memes do not explain how the show works. And I've said that in the episode, too.
Yeah.
While we were watching it. Because, like, I expected it to be a little bit more, I guess, intense and faster paced, but it feels super real, and I like it. I really like the relationship between... I want to say Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Between Jimmy and Chuck. I want to know so badly what's going on there, you know?
Yes.
Because they do a perfect job at, like, telling you stuff. And that's the whole show, really, is that as much as I like the Breaking Bad and how tense that was, I feel like I'm more interested in what the hell's going on. I absolutely love the scene in episode 2 where we're seeing him Jimmy do his job.
Yeah.
I feel wrong calling him Jimmy. It feels too it feels too, like, comfortable.
Hey, call him James.
But, like, I really like that, and,
yeah, like the montage where it's, like, him doing his job, but they also, like, threw in a lot of really funny moments. I love his exchanges with Mike in that episode, in that scene. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
That scene's great. I love just seeing them in a courthouse. Like, I love, like, in Breaking Bad, despite him being a lawyer he's there most of the show. He's introduced in the second season. I don't think there's a single scene taking place in a court, so I really like that we get so much of that in Better Call Saul.
I also like how this isn't like a cheesy court drama either. It could have easily been that. Mm-hmm. But instead, it seems to understand the court system for at least... And this is me talking as a person that does not 100% understand the court system. But it feels like they understand it without, like, making it this cheesy melodrama. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh my god, in the court, Jimmy stabbed this guy in the butt. You know, it's not that. It's like...
Yeah. Well, I think they show, like, a good... they do have, like, characters talking about the law and what it, you know, kind of what it means to them. Not too much. Like, a little bit of that in Jimmy and Chuck's conversation. You kind of get where Chuck is coming from with, like, how he views the law. And Jimmy, you don't even need to hear him because you see what he does. On top of that, they have, like, a good, like, cynical sense of humor where literally the first time we're ever in a courtroom in the show is for a case where Jimmy is trying to defend 3 guys who cut a head off in a morgue and fucked it.
I think the thing that's funny about that episode, or that start, is how all of it's paced, right? Like, you sit there and you're like, oh man, so how is, like, his presentation, Jimmy's, was, like, very solid, and then the guy slowly walks over to the TV, rolls it over, puts in the tape, and it's, like, open and shut, and it's
like, yo, yeah, you're done.
Yeah, it was like it was beautiful. I know it was a dark scene, but it was funny, and it wasn't like funny in like a comedic. I mean, I guess it might have been comedical, but it just, I don't know, something about that was magic. It was a really great start, and it tells you almost everything you need to know about, you know. Well, it does. I think that's the weird thing is I don't exactly know Jimmy's character. I don't know if I get it yet, you know? Yeah, like, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, he's defending these people genuinely, but another part of me is like, yeah, but he's a fucking sleaze.
Oh, yeah. I think that's going to be a kind of tricky of Jimmy, too, is it's like a show of evolution, because you kind of like... I'll say this much. The sleazebag in Breaking Bad, I do not think would have put his own life on the line to try to save those 2 skaters' lives.
I mean, shit, I wouldn't have, but I mean...
I fucking hate... Here's the thing. I fucking hate those 2, but they're also, like, perfect. They're perfect for the episode. It's just like, oh my god, like, he almost got them out of that situation, the horrible situation. They open their mouths, and then they're in the desert, and even after he saves them a second time, they won't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I think that's my whole...
Oh,
like,
I hate them.
I think that's why I'm so confused on him, because, like... He's and I mean, I guess that's what makes him human, right? Is that he wants to do the right thing, but when opportunity comes, it feels like he's gonna take it.
I think throughout the first, like, half of the first episode, we're kind of seeing him try to play things by the book. He's not happy. He's not like, he's complaining a lot, and he's, still has his like whole showman. He's like he's the great showman while he's doing all of this, but
the greatest showman.
The greatest showman. But it's just like every like scene of the episode, he's like getting fucked over, whether it's like quite literally like he's not being paid properly for the work he's doing, or it's like completely an ego thing with like Howard and Chuck and all of that. Like he does not want Chuck to be receiving these checks. He doesn't want Howard to come off like as a winner in any sense at all.
I think that's the weirdest thing about this, is that I don't understand 100% why he doesn't want the checks. Because you would think that, like, and once again, I think I take that back. You just explained it. It's an ego thing, but damn.
It's a deep hatred for Howard.
I mean, I'll learn it. I'll learn more too. I get exactly why. I get it. I do. But like, I don't know if your family needs help, and
Oh yeah.
I see where you're coming from. I definitely see it's an ego thing, but I'm just like, well come on, guy, take the help.
We see him try to play things by the book. It's not going well for him, and that's why the sleazebag side of him does come out, where he's trying to scam people, and he's, often going after people that he thinks maybe either deserve it, or it's just like, oh, it's gonna like work out. It's kind of like the world's wronged me, so I'm gonna try to take matters to my own hand, which can go very poorly. And I think that the good thing about this show is it illustrates immediately how poorly it can go by bringing fucking Tuco back. Like they quite literally went for the worst case scenario in the first episode.
I think another thing that's interesting is that one of my favorite scenes that I don't think I'm ever gonna forget. It's a chain of scenes, and they're all connected. It's when the family is looking for a lawyer, I guess, or not really looking for a lawyer, but Saul's Jimmy is gonna. I'm sorry, I dead named him. I guess I'm technically dead naming him by calling him Jimmy, but whatever.
We're in the past. You don't want to future name him.
Yeah. You could cut that joke out, it's stupid. But you can keep it into it, doesn't matter, as long as you acknowledge that I acknowledge that it's stupid. But my favorite thing is that when the one guy's about to sign, there is so much going on in that moment, and I love it. And then I love how I believe it's the same family comes back but goes to
Howard, yeah.
Yeah,
HHM.
and all of that scene is perfect. And
yeah.
Like, I don't know. That whole chain reaction is perfect. It is perfect, and I love it. I do think the garbage can didn't deserve that shit, though.
Yeah. Some people say that's a reference to Walter punching that thing in the restroom. Like, I think it was like the paper towel holder in the restroom, just because it's metal. I guess I see where they're coming from. I consider that a stretch.
That's a weird reference, if that is one.
I remember watching fucking Rich Alvarez's podcast, the one that they did for a very, very brief period of time.
I can't escape this man.
Where Chris on that show was like, in the final episode of Breaking Bad, Walter, they referenced the scene where Walter punches that in because he stares at the metal cylinder in the meth lab, but now instead of punching it, he looks at it satisfied, and it's like, I think that's a stretch if I ever heard one, buddy.
Is that why you're doing this podcast with me? You just need another Chris? Is that what this is?
Maybe. Anyway. It's now time for Fun Facts with Spiny. Very small detail that you would barely be able to tell, and I actually didn't notice this until a scene way later in the show. Yes. Good eye. It's so perfect that it's Tuco. I remember the creators, like, in an interview right after the first episode came out, they're like, we thought about, like, maybe using Gus, but we felt like Gus was, like, a character that they could possibly reason with, where Tuco, it's just a nightmare. If you get stuck with Tuco, it's a fucking nightmare. So what's really funny about that is that's the guy right there who spoke up during the first scene that, like, they had with Walter and Jesse, and Tuco murdered him for that.
I mean,
So I love the little insight, like the little reference there, just like, stop. helping. It's foreshadow. Back to the show. I think like with Saul's character, going back to that though, so like just like my understanding of Saul at this point, this discussion's going to be changing throughout the whole series because we're watching, you know, I think both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul are about the evolution of a person, watching someone go from being one thing to another thing. But I think with him in this episode, the first 2 episodes, you know, he is trying to scam someone. He is like doing things by the book didn't work, so he's trying to take matters into his own hands, and that says a lot about him. But it also says a lot about him that like even when Tuco is letting him go, he's gonna let him live. He does everything he can to not only make it so they live, but even when he gets them down to breaking both of their legs, he still wants them to suffer less and make it just one leg. Like, so he is a good. I think that at the end of the day, even if you want to say he's a bad person for pulling these scams, which you absolutely could, I think he's got a heart. Jimmy has like he has a heart, and he can't like leave that. He could not leave that situation and be okay with it. Like he was put. I feel like he is someone who would rather die than have to live with that at this point in the show.
So I think that's funny because I feel like I have a different take on it. He wanted them to do less, but like I feel like if they died though, it would definitely. It's not that it could come back to him, but I feel like he didn't want them to die because I feel like a part of him would feel bad about it. Because like one of the scenes after their legs is broken is him on a date and not handling it.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like it's not out of like him being a good guy. It's him out of like him being like, I don't want that on my conscience.
Well, yeah, but I think that's kind of like, I don't know. Wouldn't you say that like wanting to have a clean conscience is part of being a good person? You don't want to have to. No.
Well, no. See, the thing is that if you're a good person, you don't have to worry about it, right? Like you're not gonna be in these situations. Like I think that's the problem, is that if he was a good person, we wouldn't be here.
I hear what you're saying. I guess what I'm saying is having a conscience is a good thing at the very least. It's good that he helped those 2 boys live, even though they probably didn't deserve it.
I feel like the thing is, it comes down to intention, right? Like, yeah, he's saving them, but like, I don't know. There's a lot that could really go wrong. You know what I mean? Like, if they did turn up dead, there's a chance that he could, you know, no matter what, he's not safe. You know, in reality, this could come back and bite him in the ass. We don't know.
It does a little bit already at the end of episode 2 where we have Nacho come in and...
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about, like, deeper, like, the kids could say something to the parents, or... I say God, it feels like watching Power Rangers. When they say kids, these are, like, clearly fucking adults.
Yeah, they're late 20s at the most.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, he definitely has... Yeah, he doesn't want them to get hurt more, but, like, I feel like that's just to cover his own ass, you know?
I think that I'll say, I think at this point in the show, I think there's good in Jimmy. That's what I'll say.
I get it. I just don't think that that's his, like, I don't think that that's the best example we have.
He's what's the one Captain Planet character that's, like, the heart? Isn't that a thing?
I know his name. I know who you're talking about. I just don't know his name.
He's
a Nostalgia Critic brought him up multiple times.
Is that the guy character that was actually in Nostalgia Critic?
It's supposed to be.
Maddie?
No.
Mati!
Don't know. There we go, Mati, yeah.
He's Mati from Captain Planet. That's all.
That's a stretch.
Imagine Mati trying to talk Tuco down from a murder.
He probably could, though. But I think the thing is that I think the word we're looking for isn't evolution. I think it's degradation.
Okay.
Like, because I think the characters do degrade. They, at least in Breaking Bad, it got worse. That was degrading. I don't know if Jimothy gets better or not. I'm assuming no. But I feel like it's them degrading more than it is them.
We saw him. He got better. He's working at Cinnabon, clearly loving life, clearly thriving.
There's nothing wrong with Cinnabon.
I know. He's just clearly not happy there.
I mean, shit. I'm not happy at Cinnabon either, but
I'm not happy at Cinnabon, but it's because I'm there having a heart attack from eating like 12 Cinnabons. But
I just don't like having sticky hands, and I know you're gonna be like, eat with a fork and a knife. Yeah, that looks weird. Okay, I don't want to look weird in a Cinnabon. I'm already in a Cinnabon. All right.
You ever see Parks and Rec?
No.
Oh, there's a guy named Jerry on that show, and he eats his Cinnabons with a fork and a knife. I'm just saying that.
Michael, I feel like that's gonna be the next podcast, or the next one's gonna be Community, because that's the one where. Because see, here's the greatest thing about me. I'm gonna talk about myself here. I'm gonna talk about myself here for a second. All Michael has to do to get me to watch a show is be like, "Hey, you want to make a podcast on it?" And I'll be like, "Oh, hell yeah!"
Community, you know what's fun? One fun fact about Community that actually ties it back.
Is that it's one of your best performing episodes on Movie Mackle?
That's true, but it's also in relation to Better Call Saul. So I told you that Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul have 1 year in between them. There was a 1 year gap before Better Call Saul started. In that 1 year gap, Mike's actor actually played a character on Community who was immediately written out once Better Call Saul came on the air. He had 1 year of free time, so he went to Greendale.
All in all, I think that the show is good so far. I don't know why I said that. It doesn't really matter about what my opinion is. I don't know. I'm liking it. I expected to, you know. In truth, I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. Because, like, I clearly asked you if we could do another episode sooner. So. Yeah,
we're going to record more tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Because like I said, there's so many good fucking episodes of the show. There's so many that I'm, like, excited to get to. Even in the first season, there's just, like... There's like, I think all of them are good, but there's like 2 episodes. No, there's like 3 episodes in the first season I am really excited for. But the next 2 are also ones that are really good and have a lot of really solid moments. It'll be fun going through this. Is there anything else we want to say about these first 2 episodes that we get a good introduction to every character? I'm glad that you're talking about Chuck so much, because I do think Chuck is one of the most interesting characters on the show. Obviously, like, Howard and Kim are very brief. Kim is even more brief than Howard. Kim like mainly just share the cigarette scene together. She's in the office of Howard.
That's who that is.
Yeah, like Kim is a major part of the show, but it's like kind of weird looking back at the first season and realizing just in these first few episodes how little of the screen time she takes up, because she's taken up so much of it by the end of the show. Like, she is a big character on this show.
Okay, so I'm about to cut you off for something completely stupid. Why the fuck did somebody look at this and say Slippin Jimmy needs to happen?
Because AMC knew that one of their biggest moneymakers was ending, and they were scared.
But, like, look, okay, because hear me out, right? And I'm gonna fight for the concept, not the show. I haven't seen it. I'm never going to. The concept sounds great. What the fuck did they do? Because, like, I would watch a prequel, you know, with the way he just.
I mean, making it animated isn't even a terrible idea, because you can't make Jimmy even younger, and you can't. Recasting him would also be kind of weird, so if you made it animated, that would make a little bit of sense. But I feel like you also don't want to make him a kid. Make him like when he was Slippin Jimmy. You know, he wasn't like a 10-year-old when he was Slippin Jimmy.
No, I mean, you could also pull a Ted the Show thing, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's so weird that like it because episode 2, I believe episode 1, right? I can't fuck. They blend together. You're right, but in episode 1 of those,
They're talking about the skate park scene where he mentioned Slippin Jimmy. That's the first episode.
Okay. Yeah, he literally references that, and I'm like, that sounds like a fucking interesting story, you know? Why not do something with that? And then they said, no, we're gonna make a kid show. Is it a kid show? It looks like a kid show.
I remember that you mentioned that there in the episode, and I kind of like... I'll admit, I heard you say that, and I was like, what is Chris talking about? Whatever. But now I get what you mean. Yeah. I didn't know you were talking about Slippin Jimmy when you said that, but that makes a lot of sense now. I don't know if it's a kid show, because I watched one episode and it was a silent episode where there was no dialogue. The silent episode was definitely appropriate for kids. I watched it. The only reason I watched it is because I heard there was one episode that had Chuck in it, and I was curious to see how they were going to handle a Chuck episode. And it was okay. But I watched. Keep in mind, I literally watched an episode where they don't speak once, so that's why I'm saying it's okay. I don't really like the character designs. I can't really badmouth the animation's fine. I just don't like the character designs.
It reminds me of the character Sumo from what's his name? Clarence, just because of the nose.
Oh, okay. You know what? Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Just looking at him, I looked him up. I think that but I like this show's designs more, just because it feels more. I don't know. Like Slippin Jimmy almost feels like it's going for a little bit of like a Seth MacFarlane knockoff look, if that makes any sense. Like it's
For sure. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I'd rather watch Clarence, but with the way he described the story, if they took that energy,
yeah,
and they put the writing of the show into mind, yeah, I think it would have been good.
I think that like a thing too is like with a lot of like I think like I think that this is stupid, to be fair, but I think just it being animated is gonna take away a lot of your audience. Like a lot of the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul audience is not going to cross over just by the decision to make it animated. So
yeah,
I think it's a weird decision. I don't get why they did it, and I'm not surprised it didn't get picked up for a second season. It's not like I feel like it was supposed to. I feel like it was supposed to be another attempt at making seeing if they could strike gold a third time. I'm amazed they struck gold twice. That's fucking incredible. But
yeah, no, I think if they did Young Walter, it would have been better.
Honest to God, if they did another spinoff, Slippin Jimmy probably would be a good way to go, just because there's some history there. Although I don't know, because you kind of already know what's by the end of Better Call Saul. You kind of already know what happens to Jimmy, Chuck, and a lot of other characters, so it's kind of like they'd have to come up with even more characters for Slippin Jimmy, and it might be kind of weird that they weren't mentioned even once. I guess it'd be weird.
It would be weird.
It'd be the weird thing about making the spinoff go to a main character, have the main character have two spinoffs, because it's like if you did a spinoff for Walter, that'd be kind of weird, because it's like, why this Walter's such a big character in Breaking Bad, why wasn't this person in his life mentioned or brought up even once? Where in Better Call Saul, with Better Call Saul, it's like Saul Goodman is like we only see bits and pieces of him Breaking Bad. He's in a lot of episodes, so he takes up a lot of the screen time, but he serves such a specific role. We know nothing about his at-home life. I mean, if you really think about it, we don't see where Saul lives once in Breaking Bad.
I think the biggest issue, in truth, though, is that we know what Walter was doing before this, so we don't really need a spinoff. I think that's the problem with these kind of shows, is that you can't do much. I feel like this is the limit you can do. You did all the three things you could do without it getting crazy.
Right. Anything else you want to mention, or?
No, I just think it was well done. I really like it. I really like it. I can't wait to do more of this. I hope episodes are more, I hope episodes continue to be somewhat like this, or actually have something to say.
Yeah. It's a very strong start to a TV show, and I promise you it only goes up from here. Because as much as I like these first two episodes, if I had to rank every episode of Better Call Saul, these would probably be somewhere right on the middle of the list, maybe even more towards the bottom. I don't really think there's any episodes of the show that I dislike.
Yeah, I think as later stuff comes on, I'll probably talk more about the actual shit that happened.
I think it's a good starting ground. I mean, the first episodes, it's just good for introducing characters and kind of putting Saul in his, I'm using his future name too, putting Jimmy in his first major dilemma, and seeing how that's going to cause a chain reaction throughout the show. The chain reaction we haven't seen yet, but we saw the first step. Nacho wants to do some business with him. Jimmy doesn't like that. Where's that going to go? Find out next time.